Greetings! It is I, Dracovin, Lord and Emperor of the Dracovin Empire, and welcome. It is time to continue my discussion on Hunter the Reckoning in the World of Darkness. We last left off, we've been talking about the different creeds, giving you some information about each of them so you understand a little bit about how they work and why you might be imbued into one of them. So today I've got 3 more for you. 2 more of the normal creeds and 1 more of the lost creeds. We're almost finishing them off. But let's start with redemption, or as they're commonly known, redeemers. They are the virtue of mercy. Now, like some other hunters, they believe that monsters are not intrinsically evil. They are not truly unnatural, and there are members among them that are worthy of being saved. Now, the exact details of saving them from the condition that they are in varies. Things like undead, like vampires, well, that means causing them to die again, to release their souls so that it may pass to wherever it should truly go to. Other creatures like werewolves and warlocks, that's a much more difficult thing when it comes to saving them from their condition. There's something that is almost natural to that, so you can't really save them. A lot of their edges are focused on pushing monsters to see the errors of their ways. It is a mistake, though, to think that all redeemers see the good in monsters. They don't. They only seek to save those that they deem are worthy. The rest get destroyed. Now, when it comes to redeemers, you often find messianic complexes more than any other creed. Basically, they turn towards almost religion in the way of their thinking, and many of them can even form their own cults or forms of religion. You will find that some redeemers even wander away from the hunt and go to this pure calling of a teaching based upon whatever religious format they're creating that they tend to be the center of. The cult of personalities, and indeed a cult, can be the powerful draw to them. Now, for imbuings for them, someone inevitably got hurt during their imbuing, and they worked miracles in order to save their lives, mending bones, keeping arteries from bursting forth blood, and keeping these folks alive, whoever was injured. You used your own hands to save them, and perhaps a little bit of that magic used to save the life here, you used on the cause of this bloodshed. Now, oftentimes, redeemers couple high dexterity with at least one high mental attribute. And keep importantly thought in mind. Medicine is not a requirement to be a redeemer. It's the thought of helping and the attempts to help someone out, not the skills you might already know which are important. Effectively, the thought that counts more than anything when it comes to a redeemer. You don't need that actual skill in medicine to reflect your abilities and to reflect becoming a redeemer. They have a starting conviction of 3. Now, the Creed of Avengers has those that follow it known as Avengers. They're of the virtue of zeal. They are the primary warriors of the hunt. Their entire function is to follow some kind of cause with pure force. They oftentimes see this as taking any kind of fight to their supernatural enemies and killing them and destroying them where they stand. It's very important to note, though, that they hunt those that they see having done damage and harm to others, who have done wrong, and generally do not consider the hunt a war, like some other creeds may do. So though they are powerful warriors, they see it as a mission, and they see their enemies appropriately. They don't jump to conclusions. Now, when it comes to adventure, the major weakness is there are 2 of them that go hand in foot. First off, extremism. There are many Avengers who came from extremist backgrounds. Things like militia groups, white supremacists, other type of groups, maybe even things that might be violent and dangerous. They are in these groups for whatever reason of their own beliefs, and they are awakened to a new world. And when they are awakened into a new world, a new mission, of course they change their goals. But their own extremist past can be a problem. This is a major problem because, guess what? They might have files in the authorities. People might know about them, what they've been doing, who were they involved with. They might not anymore because of going to the hunt, But hey, you have a past because of this. You don't want to deal with both the government and monsters at the same time. Unfortunately, with a lot of extremism comes intolerance, a problem among Avengers. Many of them were extremist groups that had tolerance for certain groups, certain religions, certain ethnicities. There are lots of different types of intolerance, and it can be a problem for Avengers because it will cloud their decisions. They might choose not to help someone or to target certain monsters because maybe they are related to something they are intolerant to when something else is more dangerous. Sometimes even Avengers will lead themselves to doing crimes on those that they are intolerant to that aren't monsters, with their own excuses that perhaps they are in some way, when it's just basically their intolerance pushing them to do horrible acts, murders, or other various terrible things. Obsessionism can be a cause too. A hunter can become so obsessed with getting rid of one monster, an Avenger, that they may do extreme things. Functions the same with extremism. A hunter of this obsession might decide to blow up an entire building just to get one creature, regardless of who's in it. There are problems with the obsession. They sink away from their family and friends much more rapidly than others, those that face the obsession. They can't remember the last time they connected with other people because they've been so obsessed about what they are, and it's driving them deeper and deeper into this. Now, the call to vengeance is always a bloody one. There's always some kind of death involved, whether innocents, the monster, or even those who are feeling the call. In amongst this death and destruction, they are reborn. A consecration of blood. And it's no wonder that these hunters, the Avengers, are the most likely to stoop to the level of the enemy, because they've seen the darkest points of it, experienced the darkest points of it, and see it as a means. Now, Avengers usually have high physical stats, but that isn't the only case. Someone that is weak, or physically at least, could possibly supplement that with lots of weapons. Therefore, firearms is a great ability for them to have. And usually you're going to couple that with high wits or alertness. When you're looking to this, you could either be outlaw, you could be law, you could be someone who murdered on either side of that. If you consider putting yourself in a position where you might have been a cop or a crook, think about contacts. That might be an important background for you to choose. They have a starting conviction of 4. Now, the last one I want to talk about today is one of the Lost Creeds. The other of the Lost Creeds. The Waywards. The Waywards are, of course, of the vision virtue. They share one common belief. The supernatural should be destroyed completely and utterly, no matter what the cost should be. Now, they, of course, are given to planning, careful and considered planning, but their planning very often does not include those around them. Mass deaths among civilians are an easy result of the plan of a Wayward, especially if it kills the monster in question. Another common thing? Waywards are psychotically insane. Now, there are those that can hide it, and hide it well, and disguise themselves as Avengers. But the insanity is always there. They have a second sight that is permanently on. This allows them to constantly be sensing and detecting if a monster is near. Now, their second sight can have protective abilities activated like any other hunter. But because of its strange nature, this means they cannot take any abilities that allow them to discern information from monsters. They know they're there. They can protect themselves from there. But they can't use their sight to really gain information. Waywards are unique that amongst any creed, many do not manifest the traits of a Wayward before they are imbued. Many are, in fact, perfectly normal. But the imbuing, the changing from a normal to a Wayward, drives them mad, fills them with their insanity. You could be a perfectly normal person, become a Wayward, and then you're a psychotic murderer. Now, one of their special abilities is creating sigils of power. They can create these sigils, and only a Wayward of proper vision can actually detect what that sigil means. It's incomprehensible to anyone else, and many of them put these symbols on their skin, on their flesh. They can draw strength from these symbols of power, boosting their own capabilities in combat. That's it for today. I introduced you to 3 new creeds. The Redeemer, who looks to seek to redeem those worthy. The Avenger, who's ready to dive into battle in a just cause. And of course, at least just in their own minds. And of course, a lost creed. The Waywards, insane maniacs who believe that all the supernatural should be eliminated utterly and completely. In the next episode, I'm going to talk about the last of the creeds, and then move on to talking about some of the basics of character creation when it comes to building a hunter. We're going to move into that part. But I hope you're having a great day. If you've played any of these 3 creeds and have had a character in it in a hunter game, let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear about your different Hunter the Reckoning characters. Regardless, though, until the next time, I bid you farewell.